Welcome to Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, presented by ChangeUp. I'm Owen Chadrick. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Johnny Maffei. Johnny, do you know how many days we have left?
No, I didn't do the day counter.
Few moments later.
Yes, we have 73 days left. That is, for you guys keeping score at home, 10 weeks and 3 days until Futures League opening day on May 26th. We have another opening day date. Some league is starting mid-April.
Yeah, I hear some league might not. I don't know. There's something about a lockout that's not existing anymore. But you know, it's not that locked out, Johnny. The Futures League.
No, it never was. It never was. College
No, it
baseball never was either. We
Yep.
got, Northeastern sweeping NC State, a plethora of guys on that roster that have been with us, been on this podcast, on Back to the Future. So we basically swept NC State too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we have fun. We had Jack Fox on, my former teammate. We're getting some Emerson on this podcast, and it's fun. But it's also fun. You talk to him a lot. You've obviously been here before me. You worked here before I did. And you talk to him, and it's fun to talking to these familiar faces. And Jack, I learned stuff just talking to him there. I started picking his brain when I got to Emerson, and now he's picking guys' brains. He read us a laundry list of guys. He's working out with at Cressey down in Florida, and he's had quite the journey.
Yeah, he's had quite the journey, and his summer collegiate journey started in Westfield in 2019, extended to Brockton in 2020. He originally broke the Futures League season strikeout record before Jack Choate broke it this summer. He also threw a combined no-hitter in Brockton, so he's left his mark on the Futures League for sure. And he had a lot of great things to say about Emerson, about his final stop in college at Lander, and now with the Kane County Cougars. And, as you said, it was great to hear his perspective about being with guys like Noah Syndergaard and Justin Verlander every day working out. And it's great to see him in professional ball doing so well.
Yeah, he was right in the middle of, we saw, what was it? Was it Nightingale tweeting like Scherzer in the parking lot every day? And that was, after Fox was working out with him all winter. So that's cool. Yeah, but Jack's kind of, a great example of what the Futures League's all about. He's an Emerson kid. He threw hard, and then you'll hear it right here. You'll hear it midway through the interview. He got his recognition in the Futures League. That's where he started making a name for himself. He was doing it not just in the NUMEC, not just against D3. He was doing it against the big boys in the Futures, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah, collegiate summer baseball works. You know it here. You've seen it here first. We're going to get you this interview with Jack Fox. We really enjoyed this one, so we want you guys to hear it. Here is our interview with Jack Fox.
I love baseball. Let's roll.
At this time, we are honored to be joined by our next guest. He played for Westfield in 2019, breaking the original record for strikeouts in a season, and then played for Brockton in 2020, where he threw a combined no-hitter. He was also a Emerson Lion and a current Kane County Cougar. It's Jack Fox. Jack, thanks for taking the time, and welcome to Back to the Futures. How are you?
I'm great, Owen. Thanks for having me on the show.
Jack, welcome back. Welcome back to the Futures. Welcome on the show. We definitely miss you in the Futures League. We miss you here at Emerson College as well. So what are you up to now? You're with the Kane County Cougars. You're down in Florida for the off season. Give us a little rundown.
So after Emerson, the whole COVID thing happened. Ended up not getting drafted. I was given an extra year of eligibility, so I found a Division II school. I wanted to get a little change of scenery for my last year of college if I was going to get an extra one. So I found a great place down in South Carolina, Lander University. They had a great pitching coach, great facilities. So I went there for a year, and then a week after that season ended, I got a call from the Kane County Cougars manager in the American Association. He signed me, asked me if I could drive to Chicago, be there in 2 days, and the rest was, and then I was there for the whole summer. And after that season ended, he told me that if I could pick up 1 to 2 miles an hour in the off season, he thinks I have a chance of getting picked up next season. So I made a whole off season plan to, find the best training facility in the country and just live there for 4 or 5 months. And I'm in month 4 down here at Cressey, and it's just been unbelievable.
All right, so Cressey, for those who don't know, Eric Cressey is now with the Yankees running all of their strength and conditioning stuff, but forever he was kind of not just, but just the guy that, Max, Noah Syndergaard went to, or whoever. You could name a laundry list of guys. And now you're in Jupiter. You're literally just working out, living with baseball guys. What's it like? Your off day at the beach the other day was just you're playing catch in the water. Give some of these players that are still in college listening a little taste of what's to come if they continue baseball after school.
I mean, I will say it is a grind. The minor league grind is for real. I mean, we play 100 games in 110 days. You're traveling all over the country on buses from Chicago to Dallas, all the way up to Winnipeg, Canada. And I mean, for off season wise, it's just been the same thing every day. No semesters or school or classes to worry about. It's just every day, just go to the gym, get your work in for, up to 3-4 hours and go home, get some protein and some rest. And I've been driving some Uber on the side too, support my minor league baseball lifestyle. And it's been spring break down here in Florida. So it's been a good time to be an Uber driver. Some high demand, but I mean, this gym is just incredible. I mean, I lift weights every day, right in between Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, top 10 pitchers of all time. Just, I mean, I'm sitting there and they're discussing, their solutions for the lockout. And, the other day I walk in, Syndergaard holds the door for me. Trey Turner walks in behind me. It's just, I mean, it couldn't be a cooler environment to be in.
You ever Uber any of those guys?
Actually, there was one guy. His name's Justin. I forgot his last name. I picked him up from the Honda Classic because there was a surge at the golf course, and I picked him up. I'm like, hey, I see you in the gym.
So with all this, you bring it up perfectly. With all this lifting and stuff you're doing for pitching, does that add to your drive too? Off the tee box?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been basically in the gym every single day for almost 4 months now. And, I feel the strongest I've ever felt, control, command, all my stuff. It's a whole new level of focus. And, this is my first professional off season where I have nothing to focus on except for baseball. And it's a real game changer because you don't realize how many distractions you have in college until you focus only on your training and just only on preparing for that, super long season. Because the way I see it is once the season starts in a 100 game season or 100+ game season, if you're in affiliate ball, there's going to be a steady decline of how your body operates. So, my goal for the off season was to just build myself up and be in the absolute best shape I could possibly be in. So when that decline happens, I can do whatever I can to maintain it. And it can only drop so much if I really get into outstanding shape. And but I mean, it's just been a blast down here. I'm loving it.
Let's go back a little bit. 2021, you said you were training, you went to Emerson, you went to Lander, you get the call, you sign your first professional contract with the Kane County Cougars. Mm-hmm. What was it like to officially call yourself a professional baseball player?
I mean, that's a dream that I've had since I was, in preschool. If you ask me from ages 5 to 15 what your ideal dream job is, it's play professional baseball. And it just kind of came out of the blue. It didn't come exactly the way I wanted it to go, just because COVID and stuff, in 2020. That's it was really looking good, like I was going to get signed. But then, I mean, a 5-round draft, there's nothing you can really do when you're projected to go in the 35th round. And projections are projections. There's no guarantees in baseball. That's something I've learned. So, I mean, I like to say I'm taking the scenic route. And because, I mean, it's exactly 2 years later since I pitched my last game for Emerson. And, I mean, it's been a journey. Just with getting that call and getting my car and, driving from South Carolina to Illinois and showing up to the clubhouse and get your uniform, the team picture, the announcer comes down during batting practice to get some stories for you to talk about during your start. I mean, it's just the professional environment it's so much fun. Like college ball was great. I loved it, but there's something about just doing it professionally and just having it be your job and the place you go every single day that just makes it really special.
So what was in the car? Just your glove spikes and J-bands, or?
No, I actually had way too much stuff in my car. You got to pack light if you're a baseball player. I had like my golf clubs, I had my acoustic guitar, my electric guitar, I had a cast iron pan, I had 3 fishing poles. Yeah, I had to cut down. I only brought one guitar with me this round.
So Kane County is in Chicago. You play a bunch of teams from around there. It used to be affiliated. It was part of the thing that dropped off. What can you talk about the atmosphere in that league?
So in this league, it's the average age was I think 27 or 28, and last year I was a rookie at 23 years old. It was is a much older league, and I'd say about 90% of my team was guys that just got released from AA or AAA, or even guys from the majors. We had Vance Worley on our team, who 7 years with the Phillies, 400 innings with a 4 ERA in the majors, and we're just in the bullpen throwing our bullpens together, and it's really it's like Bull Durham. There was that one point where we were sitting by the bullpen, and Vance Worley's talking about how you get steak and lobster in the Yankees clubhouse. Well, we just ate some beans and rice.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool, obviously I would have rather been drafted in, low A higher, but I feel like there's actually a great amount of value to this experience that I'm having, because I got to talk with so many guys who've really been through it. Like there are guys, been in the majors, who've had 8 years in the minors, who were drafted out of high school, and now they're 27 and, just got released from AAA and then got picked up back to AA. And I'm just getting a sense for, how complicated the baseball world is. And it's not a linear path. And how humbling it is. It's up and down and everywhere. And it was just an incredible experience. All the fans. I pitched at I started our highest attendance game. We had, I think, nearly 10,000 people in the stands, and that's just different. The most I pitched in with before was actually in the Futures League at Worcester, and that was 5,000. And I'd say there's a difference between 5,000 and 10,000. There's like this white noise that you can't make out individual faces or individual conversations. There's just a white noise everywhere, because there's so many people, and it makes it that much more fun to pitch in that environment.
All right. So when you're in the FCBL, when you were pitching, that was your summers while you were here in Boston at Emerson. What took you from LA over to Boston?
There's one answer, and that's playing time. I was kind of a late bloomer. My junior year of high school, I only pitched like 3 innings on varsity. I was topping out at like 80 miles an hour, and I wanted a place where that had a great school and a place where I could start. And Coach Vino called me. He said, "Buddy, if you come here, you'll start every day, every weekend for 4 years." And that's all I needed. And I committed right away, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's head coach Nick Vanocchi, my current coach, Jack's former coach. So you go to LA, you're here. We just played a snow game last week. We played 20 degrees.
Oh my God.
I know this was like 6 years ago, but what was it like, living in Boston downtown for the first time? And, you guys played at Campanelli for a little bit, which you ended up throwing a no-hitter at. I know that meant a lot to you. Just talk about the overall experience, if you can.
It was very, very different than baseball in Los Angeles. I've lived in LA my whole life, and all of a sudden I'm coming out and trying to get to 6 a.m. lift before my hair freezes from the snow, just 10 degrees walking to the gym. And you have to pitch differently when it's under 40 degrees, because statistically sliders break less once it's under 40 degrees. And not that you can grip it in the first place.
I just clanked 2 kids against NEC on the slider. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do that next week in Arizona.
Exactly. But I remember I started one game where it was 32 degrees at game time, and I just abandoned the off speed. I said, all right, I'm going to grip a fastball. I can't feel my fingers, but I'm going to just throw it as hard as I can down the middle and and just let it spray. But college baseball has electricity to it that, is everyone's always reminiscing about, even in pro ball. Everyone says nothing's as fun as college ball, they say, because it's just, you got this brotherhood with, all your guys, all the you go out together, you hang out at the baseball house, you have your parties, you have your fun, and then you go out and, go to war on the baseball field. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. And not only going to war, but in Division III too. All the guys we talked to that were in Division III have so much pride for being there. What about you? What was it like to play in Division III, especially making it where you are now?
So I mean, baseball going into college, it was just for fun. I loved playing, and I wanted to keep playing, and I wanted to make sure I was at a place where I could play. I'd rather play every day for a Division III school than go sit on. I had a friend that went to Vanderbilt and was on the baseball team, and he was like, could touch 90, but he just, it's Vanderbilt, so you're not going to get in the game. You're not a 97 guy. But wait, what was the question again?
Just what was it like playing in Division
you kind of
III,
answered it.
and how much pride you had?
So it did become like a personal like grudge for me, the fact that we've never beaten MIT, Wheaton, or Babson. So I kind of was like, all right, I want to be the guy who beats those teams. And I got really close. I had 9 opportunities and I did lose all 9 of them, but I got really close a few times. And we played at that beautiful stadium, Campanelli. That was also another big sell for me going to Emerson, because it's a gorgeous minor league stadium. Feels like, your 1960s minor league AAA. And it was, I mean, that walk from the bullpen to the mound, it felt so big league. And there is a lot of pride coming from D3 just because, it's a grind. It's not, immaculate facilities everywhere. So, I mean, Campanelli was great, but we only got to play games on it. Our practices would consist of, if I want to throw a bullpen, I had to go in the closet, in the gym, in the basketball court, take out all the volleyball equipment, all the women's basketball equipment and all that stuff. And then, squeeze out the bullpen mound and then set up 3 nets and then have a little makeshift home plate. And
the mats and the mats.
Yeah, there's a lot more. You got to do a lot more than you usually have to do. And I mean, one day we showed up and had to build the fence for the field we were playing on my junior year because the makeshift one fell down. So I mean, there's just it's just a level of grinding that feels really good to know that I went through and worked through and made it to the other side, and D3, D2, indie ball, and hopefully a lot more to come. But just very, very proud and very thankful for my experiences at Emerson, because I promise you this, it's the same 60 feet everywhere you go. Everyone, when I went to the D2 place, they're like, oh, this is going to be way harder than Emerson. And and then the same thing with indie ball. They're like, this is the pros, these are AA guys. But, I realized that, just sticking to your game, whatever gets out will get
Before
out.
We get back to Jack
level.
Fox.
Good pitches are good pitches universally.
We want to share a message from our friends at 78 Sports. Do you have kids playing baseball or softball? We all know practice time is limited, especially here in New England. Not to mention the cost of lessons and cage time can add up quickly. Save yourself time and money by giving your kids what they need to work on their game at home. Our friends at 78 Sports can help you put together the perfect at-home training setup. Whether you want to start small with just a tee and hitting net, or looking to set up a full cage with turf and a pitching machine, they have you covered. The team at 78 Sports has designed and installed hundreds of home and commercial sports training facilities, so let them help you plan the perfect setup for your space. Visit the 78 Sports website at 78sports.com. That's SEVENTY 8 sports.com. For a limited time, just by mentioning Back to the Futures, you'll receive a 10% discount off your order. That's SEVENTY 8 sports.com.
Now back to Kane County Cougars pitcher Jack Fox.
Yeah, and you touch on that, the competition, it's the same wherever you go. Talk about the competition in your own conference when you were at Emerson, the NUMAC. You talked about MIT, Babson, and Wheaton and the amount of talent there. What was it like facing those guys, and how did that prepare you for kind of for Division II and for the Kane County Cougars?
I found MIT, Wheaton, and Babson just as difficult to pitch against the best teams in the D2 that I faced, and all these teams that I faced last year. I mean, my ERAs were pretty similar, and my worst 2 games I've ever pitched were against Babson and Wheaton. They lit me up for 8 and 6 runs respectively. And I mean, like D3, they could have easily competed in the D2 conference I played in last year. Those teams were legit. I mean, I remember my freshman year, Austin Fillier played for MIT, and he was, I mean, an 8th round draft pick for the Yankees. And, you know, to be a hitter and get drafted at a D3 is about the hardest thing you can do in baseball. You know, a pitcher's a pitcher, 95 is 95, but a hitter, like if you can make weight
totally
like that, I mean, that's unheard of. So just really, really good competition. And the way I thought of it is, you know, even they're only guys who go there are, you know, MIT and Babson. Those are guys who, you know, they want an outstanding education and they probably could go to a D1 school. But they're like, I'm going to get this insane degree and play high level baseball and start every week. And, you know, it's honestly a very smart decision.
Yeah, you know, we had Studley on a couple weeks ago, Jacob Studley, who spent some time in Brockton. Did you guys cross paths in Brockton too?
Yeah. I was in Brockton for a very brief stunt in 2020.
But it's like I was texting you before the weird year last year. We only played 10 games. The NUMAC only, you know, had a 10 game or so schedule, and because we didn't get to do it in 2020 for your senior year. And it was like, oh, you kept saying, this is the year. And, you know, it's just crazy how important those games are and how I'm just going to live with those forever. And you've been all across the country and you're still talking about those games. But that's what the NUMAC is. You know, it's a 3-bid conference and kids are littered throughout the Futures League. So let's move on to a little Futures League talk. Mm-hmm. You played in Westfield one summer, you lit it up. How do you think that helped you, you know, get a lot of recognition from going to D3 to, it's like, hey, I can do it against the big boys?
So, I mean, that was really the only reason I had any attention from scouts my senior year. So I decided I really wanted to go for professional baseball my junior year. And, you know, I had a good season at Emerson my junior year. And my plan was actually to just train that off season because I've never done any real, you know, baseball training program. So I was going to just stay in Boston, work and do my training. And then all of a sudden I get a call, hey, do you want to play for the Futures League? And I'm like, sure, that sounds great. I didn't even know what the Futures League was. I didn't know about collegiate summer baseball. I was just out of the loop, just had no idea. And I showed up and they were like, this is, you know, a lot of D1 hitters. Then, you know, it's basically the best of D3 and a lot of great D1, D2 players. And I played my game. I didn't overthink anything. And it just a few good starts came together. And all of a sudden, you know, it was a great summer. I really enjoyed my time. That was the biggest stage I played on to that point. You know, coming from Emerson is, you know, up to 5,000 fans a game and, you know, a few kids coming into the bullpen for autographs. And, you know, it was a really, really, really fun time. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, not only was it pretty fun, but you also happened to break the strikeout record for strikeouts in the season there, just casually throwing a couple of Ks there.
Yeah, that was and honestly, I think I could have kept it because the guy I saw, it got broken this year. Someone had 83.
Yeah, Jack Choate broke your record, dethroned you.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't still have it. So I had 79, but my last game of the season, I already broke it. And I asked if I could hit for myself. And I did. And I went 1 for 3 at an RBI. I beat out a number to third base. After I beat out that number, I was kind of gassed and I got taken out the next inning. I gave him like 4 hits in a row and I only had like 4 strikeouts that game.
Yeah, it is what it is. You know,
that one's on me.
So we got to ask, you were in Westfield, and an important question we ask every Westfield person that comes on: do you believe in Bullen's magic?
Absolutely. There was, Bullen's, it was just a very homey environment, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, you know, from my regards. And just, you know, I think it's at about 500, maybe 1,000, and just a really nice baseball atmosphere. And we had a losing season, but we had some really magical games there. And sometimes it felt like things just came together out of a storybook. So absolutely, there's a lot of Bullen's magic going on.
Yeah, and then after Westfield in 2020, you said earlier you had a brief stint in Brockton, ended up throwing a combined no-hitter one game. What was your time like in Brockton, even though it was brief?
So the only reason it was brief was because I tore my calf about 2 weeks before the season starts. My dog got loose and I was barefoot running, and I just did a full sprint on concrete to go get him, and it just gave out on me. And the doctor said it'd be 6 weeks, and 4 weeks later I was in Brockton on the mound, which wasn't the smartest thing in retrospect, because there's a lot of compensation going on. Everything else started hurting, but I never got a win at Campanelli. I really wanted one at Emerson. And I even got 2 starts against Brockton at Campanelli in with Westfield, but I didn't win any of those. I think I was 0-9, 0-10. And so to be able to go there on, half a calf, everything hurting, I didn't ramp up even. I was throwing on my knees for like a few weeks, and then I just showed up and was like, yeah, I'm ready to start. And then to just have 5 innings breeze by, and the bullpen comes in and shuts it down. That was a pretty amazing moment. Even though I was only there for 2 weeks, it felt like a great accomplishment. It felt like a really, just really satisfying thing to do, to go just so far out of my way to just grab that feature. It's almost as if I could come back for another year at Emerson and get a win against MIT.
And I remember being there too. I was in the press box for that one, and I showed up at the field, and I was like, "Oh, who's starting today?" They were like, "Jack Fox." I'm like, "He's back." And you come in and do that, and it was cool. And I think I talked to you after the game as well, so it was good to hear that and see you pitch like that after a year off and injury stint later.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I enjoyed it. It would have been nice to finish the whole game, but my velo went down after the 4th inning. It was, baseball is hard.
Yeah, and we got a pitch count. Gotta watch those pitches in the summer. That's why coaches still send us here, because we do a good job of that, which leads perfectly into the home run derby talk. MLB just announced the All-Star game might have it, and people are going crazy, even though we've had it for a few years now. What do you think of the home run derby in summer ball?
I think that's the greatest thing you could possibly put in the college baseball environment, because I love home runs. Obviously not when I give them up, but when I give up the nuke, I can sometimes respect it, just because just the sheer beauty of a moonshot home run is just one of the most beautiful things in baseball to watch. So I mean, I remember one of the games we played at Brockton. I think it was Jake Geloff and another guy from Dartmouth. They hit like 35 homers combined, and we're just sitting on the grass watching them just nuke balls over the lights at Brockton, which I didn't even know was possible. And I mean, I just don't understand who would have any complaints about that. I wouldn't want it any other way. If they could do a home run derby in indie ball, I'd go for that too.
Maybe, yeah. So that was Ben Rice, right, Owen?
Mm-hmm.
MVP that summer.
Yep, MVP. Ben Rice.
Yeah,
he hit, I think, 20 homers in the home run derby there, because Geloff put like 15 out, and then Ben came over and just hit nuke after nuke. Like he started. So he just, at first he was clearing the fence, and then he started clearing the lights at Brockton, which I didn't know that was possible.
That summer you were hurt a little bit. That was your transition to Lander. I know you talked about this. We're going to come back to it quickly, though. So you're planning on getting drafted. You're talking to scouts. I was literally right there. I saw them all with the pocket radars or the real, the jugs, the guns. You're throwing, the fastest cutters you've ever thrown. You're striking out 14 dudes. And then the world decided to, basically end for a couple of years. How quick was that Lander decision you had to make? Because, I know the stuff you told me, you love the pitching coach there, beautiful field, stuff like that. And you needed an opportunity and you got one, deservingly so. But how quick did everything have to, oh geez, I just hit my mic. How quick did everything have to form there?
I mean, I'll be honest, it was a really, really hard time for me, just because, I just graduated college, and I thought, with that 14 strikeout game, you're telling me about. I mean, the Dodgers and the Padres were there watching that, and they all called me. The Dodgers scout said invited me to the mini camp at Dodger Stadium for the pre-draft thing, and so I was just so excited for it. And I thought even with COVID, I thought I did well enough to still get drafted. And then 5-round draft, but even with the 5-round draft, they said I still have a hope for free agency. But then they canceled the minor leagues a week before the draft, and after that they said I didn't have a chance. So I mean, that was just that blow was really tough because I was all in. I thought I had it in the bag. I thought I was going to sneak in there.
I did too.
And I didn't. So, that was a really tough time. But at that point, I got my Emerson degree and I got the extra year of eligibility, and I just thought that would be my best play. I thought, a lot of people do a 5th year, people have a red shirt, a TJ year, all that stuff. I'm like, you know what, I'll do a 5th year. I'll put my name in the transfer portal, and I'm looking for a few things. I'm looking for, obviously some money to go to the school. I'm looking for a starting spot. I'm looking for great facilities. I'm looking for great coaching. And I emailed a few schools, a few smaller D1s, some good D2s. And then also I had this kind of, I was playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 at the time. So I wanted to go to the South and check that out. And then all of a sudden I get a call from this great D2 school in South Carolina with beautiful facilities and great coaching and a starting spot. And me and the coach talked about pitching for 2 hours, and it felt right. I gave it a week or two to think about, and then I pulled the trigger. I got in my car and drove over, and it was a great year there.
Yeah, and you talked about how it was a great year. You had a 2.77 ERA and 48 2/3 innings pitched. You were a PBC all first team member. So your time with the Bearcats, how did that help kind of further your development and gain that? You talked about it, gaining that extra year to try and, push you to pro ball, which obviously worked out.
So it was a really great transition year from D3 to pro ball, because there's just a way things work on the baseball field, once the levels go up a bit, and just kind of how to handle yourself, and, the work ethic of other people on the team, and, the seriousness of baseball, which I was, I had a little bit of learning to do, just, going to a new school. Because at Emerson, I kind of just, Coach Managi, he would kind of, let me arrange my schedule however I wanted, however I wanted to get ready for my start or get ready for my bullpen. He would let me do that. But, when you go into a new school where it's not, there's not this huge difference. It's everyone. I was one of 10 guys who could throw in the 90s at that school. It was, I really had to fight for a spot for the first time in a while. And it was a little humbling at first. But, I actually started off in the bullpen, and then earned my way into the starting rotation, towards the end of the season. And it ended up being a pretty successful season. Just, I learned there were some very good hitters in this league. Is a great D2 conference, the Peach Belt. And, we got to pitch in some really cool minor league stadiums. We got to throw in the High A stadium for the Red Sox in Greenville, South Carolina. They had a little Fenway there with a green monster and everything. And that was super cool experience. And got to pitch in another minor league stadium down in Augusta, Georgia, where they're now with the Giants. But, it was definitely a step up. It was definitely a step up from Emerson, competition and seriousness wise. And I treated it like a minor league season. I'll be honest. I did the bare minimum classes I could just so I could be eligible for baseball. Cause I just, I wanted a job in baseball. I wanted to play professionally. So I told myself I was going to go to this D2 school and treat it like I'm a professional baseball player, and see how the cards play out. And then, right there, I went right from there straight to Kane County.
Before we return to our interview with Jack Fox,
friends at Zorian Bat Company. Rob Zorian started the company Zorian Bat Company in 2003, literally out of the trunk of his car in Davie, Florida. Within 2 years, he was selling his wood bat line to Major League Baseball and continuing to manufacture the highest grade wood bats for Little League all the way up to the major leagues. Rob Zorian, founder and president of Zorian Bats, says, "I started the company in 2003 to service all baseball players in the United States and beyond. And after 19 years, our mission has not changed." We are very excited to have the opportunity to work with the Futures League and wish all of our players and coaches a healthy and successful season ahead. To find out more information about Zorian, go to zorianbats.com. That's Zorian bats.com. Zorian, America's baseball brand.
Now back to Jack Fox.
And we can't talk about training and development without shouting out Dr. Heenan, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so that summer in the Futures League, starting in that league, I also started working with Heenan, and he told me to send him a video of me doing my max reverse lunge, and it was like a wobbly 135. And I was topping out at about 88 miles an hour at the end of my junior year for Emerson. And so starting, and I weighed about 195 pounds. And then I started working with Heenan. He sent me all the programs. He told me, eat the house and then some. And within a few months, I gained like 20 pounds. My reverse lunge got up to, nearly 300 pounds. And all of a sudden, instead of topping out at 88, I could hit 93. And, at the All-Star game, at the Futures League All-Star game that year, I threw pretty well. I was 91, 92, and that's what got the attention from all the scouts. So, I mean, I owe any exposure I have to for those teams and, getting those calls. I owe that all to Heenan for the training program that he gave me, because, no one's going to bat an eye over 88, but 92, back then that meant something.
No, I mean, it still does. And you kind of brought it to Emerson a little bit here. For those who don't know, Dr. Josh Heenan, he's the guy that you see on Instagram with the 90-mile-an-hour formula. You do the chin-ups, the deadlift. He has all his strategies and formulas. And hey, there's an example right here on the screen. You're looking right at him. Yeah, Owen did it. Owen, let's get you on the 90-mile-an-hour formula. No,
who knows? I don't know. I mean, I'm already at about 98, so I don't know. I don't know if I want to brag to you guys.
Kilometers per hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a wiffle ball.
And you just touched on it with everything you said about Dr. Heenan. You pitched to the Futures League All-Star game. You got exposure to the scouts. So many things in the FCBL that we try and do is for guys like you who are trying to make it in pro ball. What do you think for you was the biggest benefit of playing in the FCBL?
It's the exposure for sure. I mean, I pitched in the All-Star game, and I didn't even know there were scouts. I knew there were going to be scouts there, but I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, or whether they're going to talk to me right then or later, or I don't know how I did. But then a few months later, in the fall of my senior season, Pirates reached out to my coach. Dodgers reached out to my coach. Rangers, Pirates and Rangers, they both had a scout, come all the way out to our practice at the Malden JV field and watch me throw for a little bit.
Maplewood, baby.
He showed me a video of the Ranger scout showed me a video he took of me, hitting 92, and that was the first time I've ever seen that just documented, and it was, so it's some exposure that I never would have gotten otherwise. And, it's without the Futures League. The Futures League was an essential part of my journey to where I am now, because it was the first place I got real exposure. And it was great. It was a great environment. Every ballpark I played in, great competition. And, the scouts respected it. And that's all you can ask for out of your summer league. Just a place just a platform to show off what you got.
Yeah, you certainly showed it off well, and it paid off, as you are now on Kane County. And we now move on to our final segment. It's called Quick Hits. It's presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. Zephyr, high quality, innovative design since 1993. So, Jack, we got a couple more questions for our audience to get to know you better. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. First off, this is a tough one, but who's your favorite teammate in the FCBL?
Who's my favorite teammate in the FCBL? Oh, that's a tough one. That was a while ago. Chase Jeter he was the other starting pitcher. I think was he a lefty?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the other starting pitcher. He was a really cool dude. Just fun to hang out in the bullpen with. And he was a great starter. We got to bounce ideas off each other and sequences and all that stuff. And so I'll go with him.
What about a favorite Emerson teammate besides myself, of course?
Well, besides you, Johnny, I got to give it to my junior year roommate, Ethan, my second baseman. You know, we lived in the house together. We had a band in our kitchen. Literally, he was on. We had a drum set and an electric guitar in our kitchen, and every day we'd come home and play Tom Sawyer and disturb our third roommate. That was just a really fun year. So definitely, so I'm gonna go with Mr. Ethan Young.
Landlord must have loved that.
Landlord hated it. We did not get our security deposit back for a lot of reasons. We had BB holes in our wall. We had a roommate. We had one of the baseball guys living at the house for a few months, and he just started shooting BBs into the wall. There were just a bunch of BB, looked like it was like a war scene.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a great way to not get your security deposit back. And then whether it was at Emerson, at Lander, with Kane County, or in the FCBL, what was your walk-up music?
My walk-up song for Westfield was Tom Sawyer by Rush. And then my walk-up song at Lander was California Love, because, you know, I was like the only one from California there. And then at Kane County, it was Heavy Metal by Sammy Hagar.
Perfect. Yeah, those are definitely three different kind of tunes for three different teams. And then obviously you mentioned it, you're from California, you've played in Boston, you've played wherever else. What's your favorite big league team and big league player, whether it's current or historical?
You know, I grew up, me and my dad watched every Kershaw start there was. Huge Dodger fans. My dad's been a Dodger fan since he was 10 years old. And, you know, I grew up at Dodger Stadium going to games. And, in LA, if you don't have DirecTV, you cannot watch the Dodger game on your provider. They black it out on every channel. There's some weird money deal where they just can't figure it out. So, I mean, every time Kershaw's pitching, we'd have to, we'd always just go to a restaurant and, watch him throw a gem back in 2014, 2015, his prime. Watching Kershaw in his prime was something that really made me, fall in love with baseball that much more. Yeah, sometimes I'll watch all 27 outs of his no-hitter in 2014 before my starts, because it just, it's inspiring stuff. And I got the Kershaw model glove on the go. So yeah, Dodgers and Kershaw, easy answer.
Yeah, I mean, what a good guy to watch. I love there's so many weird TV stuff going on, and it's like, doesn't make any sense.
A lot of stuff doesn't make sense.
A lot of stuff. You're very right on that. What about a favorite ballpark you've played in?
I got to give it to Kane County. 10,000 fans, after every game, there's like 60 kids asking for autographs, and they're heckling you for a ball. And, it's just, getting a start at your home ballpark, you go in 3 hours early, you do some stretching, you sit in the hot tub, you get a massage, you take a shower, you take another shower, you take as many showers as you want in pro ball. That stadium is just really fun. It's just a classic ballpark in the middle of the woods, in the suburbs of Chicago. And just an electric environment. And in the sixth or the seventh inning, they have this beer batter thing on the jumbotron, where if you get a strikeout, everyone gets $1 beers. And on the 10,000 fan night, I got the beer batter, and the crowd went wild. And that was pretty fun.
And that's something they'll never forget either. That's the best part about, whether it's the summer college model or the minors. It's it's awesome. It's fun for the fans. What about a favorite between inning promotion? Is that it? Is the beer batter one
we had a guy doing like triple backflips on a pogo stick. We had someone with like a dog that would like do like crazy tricks and jump all over the place and could like do backflips. I'm gonna go with pogo stick guy. Triple backflip on a pogo stick. How can you beat that? I can't do that. I just was thinking, like, what if he falls? Like it's just and he's like on the grass, like behind home plate. Like, what if the grass gives out and the pogo stick flies out from under him? And it's it was a very impressive performance.
Not a lot of margin for
Oh,
error
actually,
there.
no, there's another guy. He was this amazing. It's called Tyler's Amazing Balancing Act. Have you guys seen him? He goes around to minor league ballparks all over the country, and he can balance anything on his face, like chairs and brooms and he'd go up and down the stands and have random people give him stuff to balance like on his nose.
Can't beat summer baseball.
And if that's not summer baseball, I don't know what is.
Exactly. What about a sporting event or stadium on your bucket list?
Dodger Stadium. I would like to pitch there. Yeah, I thought I was going to get to pitch there twice. We almost made it to the championships my senior year of high school, and I was going to get that start, but we lost in the semifinals. And then, the mini camp for the pre-draft that I didn't end up getting to go to. I would love to just, get a pitch in on that field. That would,
yeah. I mean, the names that have touched that mound are just insane.
Oh yeah.
And last question of the quick hits segment brought to you by Zephyr. What is your favorite all-time baseball memory?
Favorite all-time baseball memory? I have to say, in the Futures League, getting that strikeout for the record was my favorite memory. I couldn't. I wanted it so bad. I was trying so hard not to think about it because I knew, everyone was asking me. Everyone's like, "How many strikeouts you need? How many strikeouts you need?" And I needed like 8, and I had 2 games to do it, and I just was trying so hard to just keep doing what I was doing and not focus on it. And I wanted that thing really, really bad, and then to get it. And also the pitch I got it on was kind of funny. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were up 2-1 against Pittsfield, and the bases loaded, 2 outs in like the bottom of the 6th inning of a doubleheader, top of the 6th inning of a doubleheader. And it's a 3-2 count. And I threw a curveball and it hit the guy. And the umpire said he leaned in on it and called it strike 3.
And that was the one?
That was the one.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that.
I didn't remember it until you said it, but I was also at that game. And I just remember because we were in the press box and everybody was going nuts.
I mean, that's the first time that's ever happened to me for a strikeout, the lean in. Oh my God. I was like, shit, I just walked in the tying run.
Nope. That's awesome. And then one last question here before we sign off. Ton of Division III guys are either in the FCBL or thinking about joining. What would be your advice to them about joining the Futures League and pitching or playing in the league this summer?
I only know it from a pitcher's perspective, but if you're a pitcher, it's the same 60 feet, and you can work as hard as you're willing to, and no matter what level you're at, you can always go get your work in. There's always extra stuff to do. There's always extra mobility and strength and research that you can do to work on your stuff and get better. Velocity development information has never been more available, and it's all out there. And if you want it, you can get it. And the Futures League is a great place to try out your stuff and see if you can hang with the big dogs.
And Jack, that's all we got today. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck with everything. We look forward to following you on the Kane County and wherever you end up next.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This was super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on, Jack.
Absolutely. All right. I will see you guys later.
See you later, Jack. And this has been episode 7 of season 4 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see everyone soon.